Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am State Representative Kate Farrar. I represent the 20th District of West Hartford and Newington. I am here gathered with my colleagues and friends in red because today is a day that we acknowledge as Equal Pay Day. It is the day that we acknowledge when women's wages finally catch up to men's wages from the previous year. And we are wearing red united today because women are simply still in the red due to this wage gap, and we deserve the full dollar. We deserve to be paid fairly. And here in Connecticut, unfortunately, in the last couple years, we've actually seen an increase in the wage gap, meaning that now in the state of Connecticut, women as a whole make 83 cents to the dollar of men, and the gap is even greater for Black women, for Latinas, for Native women, which you'll hear about today. This doesn't mean just we're making less in our paychecks now. It means that over our lifetime, we earn less, we are less stable as we support our families and ourselves. We are especially going to highlight today some of the reasons for this wage gap. We know that the wage gap happens to women because of the jobs we're in, but also due to a lack of affordable childcare, but also, unfortunately, due to a lack of wage transparency. It's why today we're focused on House Bill 5387. This is a bill that was voted out of the Labor Committee that would require the state of Connecticut and all of our employers to include wages and benefits on all job postings. This would ensure that women and everyone in the state could actually know what that job was worth and that we could negotiate fairly to be paid what we deserve to be paid. And to highlight all of the importance of this day and also the importance of passing this legislation this year, I am happy to welcome up to first speak after me is our great, incredible colleague, Representative Santiago, who is our Deputy Speaker in the House. So Representative Santiago.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Representative. And I have a little laryngitis, but if you can still hear me, it doesn't hurt. Good morning. I am proud to stand here today on Women's Equal Pay Day. We come together to recognize not only the ongoing fight for gender equity, but deeper injustices by women of color in our communities. Here in Connecticut, our diversity is our strength, but that strength is undermined when hardworking women, especially women from marginalized communities, are consistently undervalued and underpaid. Equal pay is not just about fairness in the workplace, but it's about justice in our community. When women of color are paid fairly, our entire community benefits. We see stronger households, healthier neighborhoods, and a more inclusive economy. So today we reaffirm our commitment to continuing the fight to close these gaps. And just to give you a couple of statistics, Latinas in Connecticut are paid 49 cents for every dollar paid to white non-Hispanic women. Men, thank you. Latinas face the largest pay gap compared to white men. That means that advancing policies that address both gender and racial inequities, increasing pay transparency, and ensuring that every woman, no matter her background, has access to opportunity and fair compensation, because equal pay must mean equal pay for all women. This is el Día de la Igualdad Salarial, the Day for Equal Pay Day. That's what today is about. And I'm going to end there before I lose the rest of my voice. So, gracias, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Representative Santiago. Next up, we would love to hear from Representative Kai Belton, who represents the 100th, oh my gosh, our voices today are all messed up. The 100th district in the great city of Middletown. Representative Belton.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here as we recognize Pay Equity Day. It's not just a day on the calendar. This is a call to action today. Because for too many women, especially women of color, pay equity it's not about fairness, it's really about survival. Connecticut women who work full-time make 83 cents to the dollar of white men. For Latina women, that is 49 cents. For Black women, it is 59 cents. As a Black woman, a mother, a legislator, and a social worker, I have seen and experienced firsthand what happens when systems undervalue labor. I've sat with women who are struggling, working full-time, multiple jobs, struggling to afford housing, childcare, and basic necessities. I was on the phone this morning, 7 a.m., with a mom, single mom, who is about to lose her housing and has nowhere to go. And this is not because they're not working hard enough. It's because they're not being paid what they deserve. And the truth is, Black women and other women of color continue to be paid significantly less than white men, even less than white women. That gap doesn't just show up in a paycheck, it shows up in generational wealth. It shows up in access to opportunity. It shows up in stress, in health outcomes, and in the ability to simply breathe. So today we name it for what it is, inequity rooted in both gender and race. But we are not just here to name the problem, we are here to change it. Pay equity means investing in policies that value care work. It means transparency in wages. It means holding employers accountable. It means ensuring that women, especially women of color, are included not just in the workforce, but respected and compensated fairly within it. Because when we pay women equitably, we strengthen our families. We stabilize our communities, and we move closer to a society that actually reflects the values we claim to hold. So I stand here today, not just as a legislator, but as a voice and as a reminder that Black women, women of color, we show up. We have carried more than our share, and it is long past time that we are paid our worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Belton. Next up, we will hear from Senator Godcar Wilcox from the wonderful Senate and hear a little bit more about her own personal story. Senator, thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Farrar, for taking the lead on this, as always, and for all these amazing women taking the lead in our state, and men and allies supporting us, taking the lead to make sure that we have equity. Because this is not just a women's rights problem; it's a human rights problem. It's a problem for all of us. Equity is better for society; it'll make us all better. And it's important to just start by acknowledging that Equal Pay Day is not a celebration; it is an acknowledgement of where we are in terms of the disparity. So the fact that you have to wait until March to work 3 extra months for the same job, at least, right, for the same job with the same qualifications should really be resonating with people. And that's just the beginning. For women of color, you have to work sometimes all the way until October. For Asian women in particular, you're still getting 90 cents on the dollar. That's not a dollar for every dollar you should be earning for the same job. And there's disparities within the community with Southeast Asian women and Pacific Islander women earning even less. And that definitely has to be acknowledged. And what I learned as a faculty member when I led a training for the American Association of University Women on a Smart Start salary negotiation training, which I learned last year, and with no surprise, was created by Representative Farrar, and that's no surprise. But I have to say the training was eye-opening for me when I was as a faculty member, because I wondered how much money I left on the table when I took my initial job. There was no transparency in terms of salary ranges. I'm still wondering how much I left on the table. I still have no idea what other people earned. I learned this because of the training, so it was incredibly helpful. But that transparency is critical to try to make sure that we have equity for the work that we're doing. And by the way, I wind up working more often than my male faculty members, my male counterparts, and I'm getting paid even less. So that means I'm getting less value for the work that I'm actually putting in. And that's something we have to correct. Economic empowerment is the beginning, because it allows us to make autonomous decisions. And as Justice Ginsburg said, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And empowered women empower women. Empowered women empower women. And that's why we're here, to make sure that we're creating that baseline of equity. But that also starts in decision making. We need to think about whether or not women are represented in places where decisions about women are getting made. In the Senate, for example, we still have only 1/3 of the Senate being represented by women, even though more than half the population in Connecticut consists of women. So we have a disparity there. We have to get to gender parity, not as tokenism, but as a way to actually reflect the lived experiences that will then be reflected in policymaking as well. So all of the things we're doing now, this is just the beginning. Transparency around salaries so that women can earn the same dollar that that they're entitled to, and then be able to be in a pipeline that leads to leadership and decision making. And when we get there and we get to gender parity, we will see a more just society. So I'm so thankful to the work that we're all doing here to make that happen. Thank you so much.
Next, we'll hear from our Women's Equity Caucus Chair, Representative Kaveh Stegra. Representative.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Rep. Farrar, for organizing us today. There are several men in the room, and I just want you to stop for a minute and think about, if you had to work until November in order to earn the same amount as a woman, how would that feel? Because that's what Native women have to do. They have to work until November to earn the exact same dollar amount that a white man earns. We hear over and over again that women are so critical to the workforce, that we're critical to the economic backbone of our country. But the challenge is that we don't back that up with valuing it in dollar amounts. And I think about all of the single moms out there. I was raised by one. The fact that they have to worry about keeping a roof over their children's head, making sure that childcare is paid for. And then let's make it that much harder for them by paying them less for every dollar that a man owns. It becomes that much more complicated to make the economics work. I would also say that this is so much harder on women over time, especially as they age. We know that one of the fastest growing homeless populations in Connecticut right now is women over the age of 55. And part of that is the over $50,000 that's been left on the table over the course of their lifetime because of the wage gap. So when we talk about a bill that increases transparency, increases your ability to negotiate, that really does change the dynamics not only in the workplace, but it changes that woman's ability to build wealth. It changes that woman's ability to, over a lifetime, not have to lose out on the money that is richly deserved and because she's doing the same amount of work. And I did want to just say something to the senator's point. Often in workplaces, work is frankly dumped on women in an extraordinary way compared to their male counterparts. I think it's because we're incredibly good at time management, we're efficient, and we're effective. However, there is no financial benefit to having to do all of that extra work, and often emotional labor that goes with that work. Managing things that frankly, our male counterparts don't have to manage. So I think when we're talking about this, we need to make sure that we are continuing to lift up women, especially our women of color, because we know that even though we stand here on Equal Pay Day, it really is white woman's Equal Pay Day. This is not everyone's Equal Pay Day, as we have heard over and over again from our colleagues. So I hope that we are effective and successful in passing this bill this year finally, because it is one of the last steps in transparency that we really need to account for in order for women to be paid equally and fairly in the state of Connecticut. Thank you again.
Thank you, Representative. Now we'll be joined by one of our advocacy partners, Tanisha Signori from She Leads Justice. Tanisha, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Tanisha Signor. I'm the Policy Director at She Leads Justice. We're a statewide nonprofit that advocates for marginalized women and girls in the state. We have been around since 1973 and have been proud to lead coalitions that have led to policy getting passed for things like pay transparency, paid family and medical leave, and paid sick and safe days. Right now, we're proud members of the Connecticut State Child Tax Credit Coalition, and our public policy and advocacy work is always centered around women's economic security. We are proud to be among the leaders here today who are seeking to expand salary transparency. There are many ways women struggle for equity in the workplace: unconscious biases, discrimination, caregiving penalties, gaps in confidence, and more. But chief among these difficulties is the persistent and harmful wage gaps that we've talked about today. If we don't continue to pass policies aimed at addressing the gender wage gap, we are leaving women, specifically women of color, in our state behind. This affects women, their families, and because it affects their ability to participate fully in our economy, it affects all of us. Every day, we at She Leads Justice, we work with women across the state who are underpaid for their labor. So we see the real-life consequences of this disparity. It's harder to afford the state high-quality child care, and the vast majority of families require so the adults can go to work. It's harder to cover the rent or mortgage and keep healthy food on the table for a growing family, and it's harder, sometimes impossible, to be able to save for their retirement or their future. The gender wage gap is reflected across nearly all occupations and all industries, and often begins with a woman's first job after college. The discrepancy compounds over the course of a career, leading to the negative outcome for women, with women of color facing the most negative outcomes. We all should be shocked and catalyzed to actions by the fact that Black women nationally lose the equivalent of almost $1 million in earnings over the course of their lifetimes. In Connecticut, the loss for Black women is even greater, almost $1.5 million. As a white woman, I think it is unacceptable that Black women in Connecticut will need to work until they are 90 years old to catch up to the career earnings of a white man at age 60. Native women need to work until they are 95. Latinas will need to work until they are 103 years old. We speak this truth out loud every year at this press conference. We hear it over and over. Pay inequity is unacceptable, but we can absolutely push back and create better policies to create more equity and economic security. Requiring employers to include pay ranges is a simple and effective way that we can help combat this issue. Women will be able to negotiate their salaries in better faith. Hiring practices will be fairer, and it will increase women's ability to have faith and trust in their employers as they go forward. It's imperative that we pass it this session, and we need to start catching up to the other states who have already done it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanisha. And finally, we get the pleasure of hearing from our Executive Director of the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, Tanya Hughes. Tanya, welcome.
Good morning, and thank you to Representative Kate Farrar and all of these legislative champions who are assembled here today. I am Tanya Hughes, the Executive Director at CHRO, and we're here to talk about a problem, one of persistent wage gaps in Connecticut. And that is, we've heard the statistics, right? Women working full-time in Connecticut earning 83 cents to the dollar of white non-Hispanic men, Latina women 49 cents, black women 59 cents. These disparities cost Connecticut women nearly $12,000 per year and almost $500,000 over a 40-year career. Well, I am one of those statistics, I am currently celebrating the 40th anniversary of my legal career, having graduated from law school in 1987. So I can recall early in my career when I was a newly divorced single mother, head of my household, encountering some of the experiences that you heard about today. And I faced those challenges and made those sacrifices and struggled throughout my career for pay equity. I can recall requesting an increase in pay to a gentleman who was much younger than I, with much less education and much less experience. And he told me to my face that you earn enough, even when presented with comparable data. So I come here today on behalf of CHRO to let you know that there is a source for redress. CHRO enforces the anti-discrimination laws for all protected classes, including gender and ethnicity, and we cover 28 protected classes. We handle 4,500 complaints a year, and about 10% of those reflect inequity in pay, but we don't track pay inequity. It shows up as disparate treatment in the terms and conditions of employment. So lack of pay transparency is a recurring barrier to equity in CHRO complaints and cases. A wise woman once told me, my aunt, that secrets keep us in bondage. Whether it's unequal pay, harassment, or some other form of mistreatment, it must be brought to light. So 5387 matters because the current law provides salary ranges only upon request, and it places a burden on the applicants. 5387 requires salary ranges to appear directly in job postings. And transparency, we've heard, reduces inequitable and unexplained wage disparities. It empowers potential employees with information needed to successfully advocate for themselves. Evidence from other states such as New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland, Illinois, Colorado, Hawaii, California, and Washington have adopted transparency laws. These states report improved equity, accountability, and workforce participation. We fashion ourselves to be a progressive state in Connecticut with strong laws against discrimination, so this only serves to strengthen our position. HB 5387 provides for us an opportunity to level the playing field for job seekers. It helps workers identify discrepancies early and advocate for fair pay. It supports employers in transparent and consistent compensation practices, and it brings hidden wage disparities out into the open. It strengthens our bargaining power. So today I stand in solidarity in red to let you know that we want to highlight that pay differentials experienced by women in this state need to end. Secrets keep us in bondage, but knowledge through transparency is power. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. I also want to thank my other colleagues who have joined us, Representative Sweet, Representative Shake, and our ally today. Thank you, Representative Gucker. And to highlight what Tanya noted at the end of her comments, you know, Connecticut is falling behind at this point with 10 other states who do have this requirement. And if we truly do want to be a leading state in the country for women, for families, this is the year we need to pass this legislation. It's also worth noting, and you all heard that we've had different experiences in the workplace and as leaders within the workplace. I know for myself, in leading an organization when I was hiring, you know, in that experience and also hearing from other businesses, this policy is valuable for business owners because it sets up a scenario where they know that all applicants who are applying are a good fit for the organization or company and that their expected range fits with what the organization or company can pay. And it really sets an equal playing field for that employee and employer moving forward. So you've heard today about 5387. It did pass the Labor Committee. We are all committed to making sure that this is the year that we continue to close the gap for women across the state of Connecticut, and we're grateful for everyone who's here today to make sure that that happens. So I wanted to make sure to open this up if there's any questions from our press partners who have joined us. Awesome. Well, thank you all. We covered it all, so appreciate everyone. Thank you.